G'day and welcome back, ladies and gents and all other people, to the linear relationships series. This is graphing with intercepts, particularly for those 5.2 pathway students in New South Wales. Now, graphing with intercepts, it's all about graphing straight lines, and it actually makes it really easy because it gives you two really good spots to plot on your graph to draw the line between, or through rather. Okay, so what's happening is that we can find an x-intercept and we can find a y-intercept. Now the x-intercept, is where the line crosses the x-axis. Okay, and we actually find it by substituting, so we can use our equations, substituting y equals 0, because the x-axis actually is a line that is y equals 0. Okay, so if we substitute that in, we know where that intercept is going to be, and you can see that down here. Now the y-intercept is very, very similar. The y-intercept is actually the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So now we have crossed the y-axis, and we can find it in a very similar fashion as well by substituting x equals 0 this time. So that's what these intercepts are. They are where we cross our axes, and we can substitute in the opposite variable with 0 so that we can find where that intercept is. That's graphing with intercepts. That is the foundation of it. That is the theory behind it. That is what is happening. We're now going to jump straight into some examples and see this in practice. So here we go. First example, find the x-intercept for each line equation. So remembering that we find the x-intercept by substituting y equals 0. So we want y to equal 0. Pretty simple stuff. So I'm going to put in 0 equals minus 2x minus 7. I'm going to use all of the algebra skills that I've been using previously and that we've learnt before to know that I need to add 7 to both sides. Giving me 7 equals minus 2x. Now that I've got 7 equals minus 2x, I can go back to those algebra skills. Divide by minus 2. Making sure that I am dividing both sides of my equation. And I'm going to get x equals negative 7 over 2. Or if we want to get a little bit more nitty gritty, it is negative 3.5. But we tend to keep it in that improper fraction form. So leave it in that improper fraction form if you would like to, if you don't want to change it to a mixed numeral. But that's it. We substituted in y equals 0. Pretty nifty. Now let's have a look at our second example. Our second example, we're going to do exactly the same way. We're going to put in 0 for y And now we're going to use those algebra skills we've learnt before. Take 6 away. So now we've got minus 6, minus 3 over 4, x. Now, we can do a couple of different things from here. We can divide, or rather multiply by 4, and then we get minus 24, and then minus 3x. Or we could just simply divide by negative 3 over 4. So we can divide by minus 3 over 4. Now, if you are remembering, when we divide by a fraction, we need to invert and multiply. So that actually becomes times minus 4 over 3. Now, I'm just running out of room just a little bit there, so I'm going to go up this way. And I'm going to have x, and x equals 8. Because what I've got is I've got minus 6 times minus 4 over 3. And that gives us 8. So there's our x-intercepts. Let's keep charging through and get our next one done. Here we've got to sketch a graph by using our intercepts. Sketching a graph by using the intercepts. So first we've got to find them. How do we find them? We substitute in 0 for our values. So our first one here, 3x minus 4y equals 12. Well, if we substitute in x equals 0, we get 3 times 0 minus 4y equals 12. That's just 4y equals 12 because anything multiplied by 0 is 0. Then I need to divide by minus 4. Gives me y equals minus 3. So I know this one's going to be down below my x-axis because it's y equals minus 3. Okay, and I can show that on my graph. So here it is, minus 3 right there. That's going to be 0.1. I want to find the x-axis intercept now. And to do that, I want to do y equals 0. So I pop that in. That gets rid of that 4 part and the y, because 4 times 0 is 0. So I'm left with 3x equals 12. Divide both sides by 3. And x equals 4. And this time it's a positive 4 because we have positive 3 going on. So now I can go across to 4 and put my other dot. Got the 2 dots, I can just draw my line through these. That's all you need to be able to draw your line is the 2 points, the 2 sets of coordinates. And that's pretty close to where I need to be. So I just draw through those points. And there you have it. We have our line drawn using our intercepts. So remember to substitute in x equals 0 to find the y-intercept and y equals 0 to find the x-intercept. Okay, we have another example here to look at. And we're going to sketch another graph. And this is our last example. I'm going to sketch this graph using our x and y intercepts. So same deal as before. Substitute in x equals 0 to find the y-intercept, y equals 0 to find the x-intercept. So I'm going to start with my equation, and I'm going to find my x equals 0, so my y-intercept. Now you'll notice that's not a very good colour. Let's use that one. Y equals 5. So you'll notice that actually matches up with what we've been talking about with that y equals mx plus b version of the line. Matches pretty nicely. Let's find the other one now. Only this time, let's let y equal 0. Alright, so now I've substituted in. I now need to do my algebra. So I take 5 away from both sides. Gives me minus 5 equals minus 2x. Now I divide both sides by minus 2. Giving me x equals 5 over 2. Or if you don't want to leave it in improper fraction and you want to change it to a mixed numeral, that's just going to be 2.5. Or even 2.5 if you really want to get technical with it. Now that I've got my points, I know I can go 1, 2, 3. And my point for the x-intercept is going to be there at 2.5. Okay, and then I want my y-intercept. Which is going to be there at 5. Then I get my trusty ruler back. Always have a good quality ruler in your possession when you're doing these things. It just makes life a little bit easier. So let's line those dots up. And we draw through the lines or through the dots. Don't just go between them, because that's not going to help us that much. But that's essentially what we're looking at. That is graphing with the intercepts done and dusted for this video. Hopefully you have found it a little bit informative and interesting, and it's given you some guidance on how to attack these types of problems. Good luck with those problems, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.